you do that, if you start with the black, always remember to add a little black into your paint when you're painting over your airbrushing, because some of that black is showing through your base coat color, whether you can really tell it or not. And I used to always start painting on my, like this color was the exact color that I airbrushed on, but it didn't look right when I started painting it over it because it was a different shade. Well, that's because there was a little bit of black in that purple, and so you got to remember to add in a couple extra colors sometimes to get it just right. Now, you're only adding in just a very little bit of black, but you still got to add it in. What I do with painting over the airbrushing is I'm going to start with my highlight color first, because I want to start building up my highlights real quick to see kind of where that's going to go. And this is where you just got to kind of do a quick test and see if you're even close to the right color. That's where you really got to start watching your palette and what's going on your model, and you'll start being able to see really quickly if the color matches what's on the model already. Also, I'm starting with a pushing technique with my brush, where I'm putting the brush, I'm putting the paint basically down on the model, and I'm pushing it up like that, and it will actually start thinning out in the start of my stroke, and I will deposit a bigger, that was a lot of paint on there, but it'll deposit more paint at the end of my stroke than at the start of my stroke. So what I want to do is start my brush stroke down a little bit lower than the highlight and push that highlight right up into the highlight area. Now the brilliance of the wet palette is I can constantly be adding in a little bit of extra color. Every single one of these highlights is going to be different. I don't like putting the same intensity highlight on every single thing. So what I'll do is I'll have my little blend here that's like a lighter shade of purple, and then I'll just continually adding just a little bit the tip of my brush with the lighter color of gray.
Now, the basic reason you're using that wet palette is to keep that acrylic.
I'm keeping this acrylic liquid for a long time. Yeah, exactly.
Without actually diluting it with water.
Right, right. So I want to keep it at a constant consistency, and yet still be able to paint with it. And the cool thing is well, this is really starting to move over here. If you can string out your blend across your palette, you'll have pockets of the different colors. And that's the other thing I really like about the wet palette. That way, if I kind of mess up as I'm going, I can come back and grab a little bit darker purple and put it back into my shadow a little bit. I kind of work it up both ways. So I'll start with getting my highlight a little bit higher, and then I'll start pushing my shadows down by adding a little bit of this blue into my purple mix. Blue is one of those colors that your eyes perceive of as farther away, just naturally, and yellow your eyes perceive of as closer. So if you make your highlights in yellow and your shadows in blue, it'll actually have a better visual effect on just looking at it. It makes things have more depth. The blue will make black look blacker. So a lot of times I'll do a blend to black, and then the very bottom of that blend I'll put a little bit of dark blue, and that actually creates the effect of being darker than black. And it's just science, man.
Weird science.
Yeah, I learned that from a weird Frenchman.
So what you're saying is between the blue and the yellow, you can get 3-dimension on a flat surface.
Very, very, yeah. And on a 3D surface, you can get even more dimensionality.
Well, understandably,
I mean, it just looks fantastic.
The difference in the colors would give you that effect.
You'll also find that blue photographs really well. All shades of blue, like bluish grays and stuff. You'll notice, like especially in the fantasy world, there's a Space Marine army called the Space Wolf.